everybody. Welcome back to Kicks Over Coffee. I'm Andy Polk at FDRA. I'm really excited today to be talking to our friends at Syndicate. We've had them on the show before, I do believe, as well as our Shoe and Show podcast, but we're having them back. And the reason is good news. E-commerce sales are going crazy. Congratulations. Bad news, it's harder than ever to make sure that your product is going up on the websites correctly so that you're actually executing that. So we've got Trish on today, we've got Chris on today to talk a little bit about that. Right off the bat, guys, when we hear e-commerce sales are booming, that's a good thing, but you guys are pointing out from the many people you work with, there are compliance challenges now more and more that retailers are asking. Can you just share a quick update about what that means and what those things are?
Sure. Andy, I just wanted to play along with the theme.
There we go.
Thank you. Yeah, from our standpoint, Andy, things are moving pretty fast. The compliance component of the business is getting stronger and actually more focused by our customers. To give you a little bit of retrospective, back in 2018-19, only about 14 to 15% of sales of footwear were digital. Many of our clients are plus 35% today. I think, unfortunately, the COVID did a lot to change that buying pattern. But what we're finding is that our customers are looking at their digital sales as a hugely important component of their overall business, and it is, and it's growing. And many of our customers are kind of looking at this as an opportunity to really kind of look at their business a little bit differently than they have perhaps in a traditional way. They look at the digital assets of their brand and their products, and they look at that way that they can distribute that over a much broader network. Again, retrospect, many of our clients are dealing with anywhere from 10 to 15 different network and retail destinations. Today, that's upwards of 35 to 40. So you've got an expanding network. You've got expanding complexity of how we connect to those networks, whether it's through API, whether it is through flat file, or whether it is through portals. The demand is just going up, up, and up. From our standpoint, the complexity is also going up, and we stand ready to assist and help our customers connect to many of these destinations. Again, this is primarily focused on footwear, but you can see there's a good number, and it continues to grow. Even non-traditional retailers and marketplaces, firms that you wouldn't think are out there selling footwear, are becoming more and more in line with selling everything. And I think that trend is going to continue as well.
I think that's a good point. So I'm just showing some of these because I think there's, I think there's 2 points that I want to pull out really quickly. Then I want to bring Trish in to talk a little bit about some of the data sets too that are the compliance challenges that keep growing that maybe people aren't aware of. But this is a great look at all the different people you work with. So a lot of shoe companies, which is wonderful and growing, but also all types of retailers across the board. So you guys really are working with a number of different people in retail. And to your point, I think it's interesting when we consider that you can sell shoes on Home Depot, right? Like a platform is a platform. I mean, it obviously you're going to look for a tool or something you can pick up, but they have the ability to sell. It's just data, correct? It's just pictures, and it's a profile. And I think more and more, I think we're starting to see that. I mean, you can buy almost anything on Best Buy or Walmart now, even if it's not in their stores.
Yes, and sorry, I'm representing Dunkin' Donuts today. And just to be clear, that screenshot was really, we've got almost 100 different retail or marketplace connectivity, and so that means that list are people. We work with those templates on behalf of our current clients, and it's ever growing. I mean, we are adding new people every single week, it seems. There's now the latest thing is the marketplace, right? So there's like new marketplaces appearing, and there's marketplaces that you never thought you would be on before. Exactly, like the Home Depot or the Lowe's or the Costco. So it's pretty fascinating to see how fast it's evolving. And each one of these folks have a different template, right? And a different process and different requirements, image requirements, and so it's really a bear to manage that as a retailer or a brand. And so there's various templates, like Chris said before, there's flat files, there's portals, there's APIs. Every time somebody goes to send new product to one of their retailers, they change the template, or they change the buyer, or they change the way they want it, incoming. So it's really a process to keep up with it. And it feels like a zoo. Really, it feels like you're living in a zoo. So it's all these animals walking around, trying to rein them in and get them organized. So
What
that's,
about, when you're working with all these different people, it seems like, you're saying almost all the industries are dealing with the same thing, right? It's data sets and putting them in the
yes.
right places. And I think some people are wondering, like, well, obviously we're going to put in our shoe size and our color, but what are some other, like, what I see from a lot of retailers is there are a lot more data points around like ESG, right? Like compliance
Mhm.
data points. And so,
Yes.
what are some of the things that you see growing that are a challenge that people are having to keep up with, where they may have their Excel sheet they've had for 15 years and all of a sudden they've got to start adding more columns or.
Yeah, I mean, it's really too, and I'll let Chris chime in better, but it's a result of the consumer as well, right? The consumer wants to research more because they're online now, they're not in the store. So where a template might have been 50 columns, now it's 100 because said retailer says, oh, this is kind of important to put in. The customer was looking for this. Like, so
Yeah.
it's like it continually adds and gets better, a lot of detail, right? I mean, there's 200 fields that you could enter, really. Not all are required, but you could
Mhm.
have them. I mean, even your packages, your measurements, it runs the full gamut. And internally, there's different departments that have to touch that too, right? And there's your product data, there's your image folks, there's your content folks. So it's a lot of moving parts.
That sounds like a
Yeah,
zoo
I would
within a
say the other
zoo.
thing, sorry, go ahead, Andy.
That was you're saying. That sounds like a zoo within a zoo. You got a zoo at the brand trying to get everybody on the same page, and you got a zoo in the marketplace trying to make sure it all goes in the right place.
Well, it is very much like a big erector set. You've got to make a lot of connections to different points. You've got to get it in their exact format. And you've got to start looking at your data, not just your content, but your marketing content,
Mhm.
your materials makeup, video content. When you start to look at this in aggregate, there's a lot of information about products, and particularly footwear are very complex. There's a lot of different makeups, there's swatches, there's material, there's dyes, there's all kinds of information that needs to be put into kind of a consolidated view so that this material can be then delivered in a very, honestly, the windows are tightening up too. The more time that is spent preparing this material and getting it out the door is potentially time lost selling it. So many of our customers are always on a countdown. They're rolling out their fall line, they're rolling out their spring line, their summer line. And as these new products come out, they want to be the first one out there with high quality data so they don't get dropped or delisted or, quite frankly, get put up for another product. So, getting there with very, very high quality content, getting there with the format that the retailer, the marketplace, the wholesaler wants to ingest, I think is going to become, and already is extremely important to getting your product out there and really selling. In the time component, there's also something. These products have availability dates. They're for sale sometimes for certain windows, seasonality, for holidays. It could be a flash sale. But getting this data out is very, very important, and making sure that it's getting out there correctly. I think there's going to be continued pressure on inventories, Andy, as we kind of look out into the 2022. I think what's happened is a lot of the inventory risk is shifting. And that inventory risk means that you really want to make sure that your orders are tight. The lead times, the delivery times are longer, and you've got to be very, very careful to make sure that your product information is out there and is selling. The worst thing that can happen is you've got products out there and they're not on the sites that they should be selling in a way you think they are, because that can blow up your inventory pretty badly.
Yeah.
So, this pressure is never ending. A lot of it is timing at this point.
Yeah, and we're looking at the impact here. Folks who work with Syndicate, you can see the ROI impact right away. But looking, like as you said, the listing delays, like not having all your fields filled out, may not be put up on the websites. You may be missing opportunities by being on Best Buy, where Syndicate can help you do that without much work on your part at all, because they have your data and data throw the fields into the right spots. So all these things reduce costs, everything that Chris was just talking about around zookeeping, I would say, if we want to keep going down that path, but making sure all your departments are synced up and making sure everything's loaded in and it's there, and then your product actually shows up on the websites you want, or I'm guessing you guys help people think through other channels too that they're not taking advantage of to help them as well.
Sure. I mean, you know, a current issue right now when you're talking about this template thing is like, you know, oftentimes you've got somebody on your sales team that's doing these data templates, or you've pulled somebody in operations to actually add that to their plate, and it's copying and pasting. I mean, it's completely manual copying and pasting. It's, you know, again, 100 columns across, 30,000 columns long. I mean, how can errors not occur? So Syndicate sort of relieves that burden. And we feel it's a direct impact on the ROI for several things that we have listed here, right? Reduction of listing delays. You know, stuff doesn't go live because the data is not accurate. You know, you've got a new person, you've got a marketplace, you want to be up there first, you know, it's faster onboarding. So all of these things we think impact the bottom line. And
yeah, well, you got it listed here, the 3%, 1%. I mean, we're talking about that's you start adding up, that's real money, right? So you got both the reduced cost and you got the increased sales revenue by using your platform to make sure it's up, it's accurate, that it's engaging in the right way with the consumer. I'm sure there's intangibles on here too about how happy the retailer is that they get all their stuff on time, and the relationship.
Yeah, right, exactly. That's a whole other issue, right? That's a whole other part of it. But and I think these numbers are fairly conservative just from my experience, but you're right, the retailer, I mean, it's the brand pushing the templates out to their, you know, 20, 30, 40
Right.
retail partners and marketplaces. But the retailer's ingesting sometimes 500 templates from their brand partners. So it's the same problem, just flipped, if you will.
Yeah.
Yeah, Andy, one other thing that's probably worth a mention as well is if you look at the number of digital partners our customers are working with, that's expanding. If you look at the digital sales, that's expanding. So this problem is getting more challenging for our typical customers. So we're proud to be part of that solutioning where we can help them really control and optimize this delivery.
Yeah, so let's talk a little bit about the life cycle here that you guys have that kind of explains and may help people think through the process of what this is and what your platform is. Maybe you can explain this really quickly.
Sure.
Yeah, I mean, basically it's, you know, kind of a 4-step, right? So it's like rapid data consumption and consolidation and organization, right, into a single source. So think of us like a PIM, product information management. So we are a PIM at the base of our product. Then it's data quality validation. So every field is scanned. It's scanned for missing information, for accuracy. And then you've got the potential to optimize those fields specific to certain retailers. In other words, you might want different content going to Amazon than you do to Macy's. You might want different content going to your own D2C, and nobody else can have that content. So it's assorted across all of our clients, but it's data quality validation. Easy curation, one click, right? You're curating your assortment specific to your retail destination because not everybody gets everything. And this could be seasonal new item ads for spring, fall, or it could be clearance events, holiday events. So curate as you wish. And then it's distribution. So you're automatically uploading into your trading partner retailer's format within minutes. I mean, some of these templates we're told take people 5 hours. That's a salesperson or an operation person spending 5 hours on a new item setup when it could be done in minutes, and it's full data and it's accurate data. So that's kind of the short version of the Syndicate lifecycle.
I think that's great.
Yeah, and Andy, what we find also is that the data resides in different parts of the house. So we have product content living maybe in an ERP. We have imagery living in a different system. Video content might be somewhere else. And this data is oftentimes across different platforms within the organization. in this ability to bring this together and allow them to tune it and to optimize it for delivery is, we think, pretty powerful.
Yeah. And I just look at, I hear you talk about it taking 5 hours to load up data into a database. And I think those are the people that left the workforce and no one wants that job anymore, right? So everybody out there is just like, we can't find these workers. And it's like, you shouldn't hire the worker. You should use Syndicate and optimize what you're doing and make it
Yes.
work for everybody.
Sell more, pay less. We love
Yes,
it.
that's a valid point too, for sure.
I think what you guys are doing is fantastic. The results that we hear from footwear companies when they find you guys is, oh my God, we've been needing this forever. Where have they been? And the last time, actually, I think you picked up a lot of clients off our last shoe and show where they just heard and they were like, so I tell everybody, do a demo, call up Syndicate, do a demo, see what it is, test the waters. How long, once people sign on or start looking at this, how long does it take a company to figure out how to use this effectively?
Yeah, I think from that, and the quick answer is we have to look at the quality of their existing data. If that quality is good, this is measured in weeks.
Yeah.
If the quality is bad, it could be measured in a month and a half, 2 months. But
Right.
that's the kind of window we're talking about. But we, as part of our service and part of our onboarding, we give them a very, honest critique about the state of their data. And I think many of our clients appreciate that candid feedback.
Yeah.
And
That
it's part of the program.
So as we wrap up, what are we drinking today? I know you got donkeys. I know but is it dark roast? Is it light roast? Is it a latte? Is it a cup?
I'm still living, this is the Dunkin' Donuts Irish cream.
All right.
So we're only a couple of days, we're in Boston, we're only a couple of days out, so some of it's still lingering.
And mine is a rum and Coke. It's
Oh
wonderful.
yeah. That's what happens when you look at too much data. You got to have something.
Yes, no,
in your
exactly,
coffee to-
exactly. We encourage everybody to, if you haven't, open up the hood, look underneath and see how much time is being spent on this process.
How many cups of coffee a day do you guys drink?
12
Too many.
ounces.
I love it.
Way too many.
I love it. If people want to learn more about Syndicate, you can always contact FDRA. We'll put you in touch with them, but also you can Google Syndicate. I think a lot of people know Trisha from the industry and her background with working with multiple companies and multiple retailers. And they're going to be at our cocktail party. They're going to be one of our sponsors of our cocktail party coming up in August in New York, which is going to be awesome. So we hope to see everybody there and appreciate your support of our industry and what you guys are doing to optimize it and pull people into the digital age where we're talking about the metaverse and going beyond, and we haven't even figured out the digital age. So I think it's great.
Andy, thank you so much for your partnership. We really appreciate being on the show today. Thank you.
All right. And
Yes,
thank you
thank
guys
you.
again. This is another Kicks Over Coffee, where we talk about casual discussions over a cup of coffee about footwear industry trends, technologies, and issues impacting our industry. Hopefully you got something out of this today. And again, we're focused on solutions, helping companies actually find that new revenue and cut out their costs, especially in these difficult times. So you can catch all these Kicks Over Coffee videos, kicksovercoffee.com. You can also listen to our podcast that's been going on for almost 5 years now on shoeandshow.com. We appreciate you listening and participating. Stay close to FDRA for more updates across our full supply chain. And we appreciate Syndicate for their insights today and for what they're doing. And until next time, keep buying kicks, keep drinking coffee.